Hello and welcome. Are we live? Yeah, we're live. We got some bright lights. Everybody's here today, and it is Stephen Gray, the one and only Stargoat. Oh, pulled up at my Model X, and we're ready to rock and roll. Are you ready to rock and roll? I'm ready to rock and roll. Get the microphone a little bit more angled in my direction. That way, my voice is not cascading all across the world. Wait, we want it to cascade all across the world. Meant the room. So, as you can hear, Disneyland is taking out their trash because we are broadcasting live from the border of Disneyland Resort, Anaheim, California. And you're probably wondering a lot of things right now. Am I safe? Yes, you are. Why am I so confident in saying that? Well, because you're here watching the show and you're not actively pursuing a military career. That's my logic. So I have a retired colonel lined up. And, retired colonels are busy people. They get into things, they start doing things. Friday night, they could start out in Texas, end up in Virginia by midnight. And next thing you know, they're in Japan by 6 a.m. And you're like, how did this happen? And then they wake up and they're on a live show in California. I'm like, they're just hopping all over the place, aren't they? So, as you can see, I have my conscience on my side, my son, and we have decent lighting. I don't have so much in the background you can see. I have a few things behind me, probably copyrighted, most likely. I'm not overly concerned about that, just because I do have like half a thousand views. It's like 644 in the last few weeks. So I'm gonna take that as maybe we're getting a little traction, but I don't know. Are people interested in what's happening right now? Specifically, what I believe is happening. Do I want to share that with everybody? Oh, why not? Let me click the share button and see if anybody comes on. Maybe we can get some people in the chat box. If you are willing to come on live, I will stop everything. We will just stop right here, and I will send you a link, and we will go live together. And then we can sit here side by side, and we can each be in our little compartments, and I'll speak, listen, and we'll just throw that back and forth. So I've shared now on X. Stargoat at 7. X is quite a splendid multimedia platform. And when I went on and punched in that thing, what is it called? When I uploaded the video, it gives you the option to put a cover, and I did not add a cover. So when I shared to X, it's just a little block thing that's like, I could share the screen with you guys. Alright, I'm going to click that. See, it looks like it has the Stargoat cover on it. And so when it really comes to like the things on the internet, for instance, I'm going to paste the link onto Facebook and it pops up, it populates. So I always just kind of wonder, is it platform based? Is it the operating system itself that recognizes when the platform is doing something, or the specific link I copied? Because there's like 20 different links that all have webhooks that go to different parts of the internet. But let's chop this up properly. I did post in the description of this video, we're going to have a 3-part discussion that revolves around the subjects of, one, is it better to be feared or loved? It was a famous quote from Machiavelli, and Um, we have analyzed this quite a bit in our society. I always bring it up because it ultimately comes down to how do we get things done? How do you motivate people? A lot of reverse psychology out there, a lot of techniques that implore, well, you couldn't do it better than I could, or kind of like a guilt trip, or it is 100% a psychological ploy. As you get older, you find that when you are networking or engaging with other people, and even on social media, it's more receptive the less you know. And so, for people that know it all, you're going to have to figure out a way to integrate what you know into society without telling them that you're giving them anything. You have to be more inquisitive. Think of those moments when you first started out, when you first started asking questions. You know, there wasn't somebody that knew everything that just started unloading all the information on you. They didn't word vomit on you. They didn't hand you a word salad and say, "Enjoy, buddy." I mean, sometimes they do. Some, people have been known to do that. I've done it. Once you get on this, it's easy to, get super emotionally charged up and just ready to take on everyone who has ears. You're like, guess what I got for you, buddy? I just learned this. Now, so are you. So it's a funny thing, but everything unfolds organically in time. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But do keep in mind, when the teacher is ready, the student will also appear. Okay? So, as a teacher, you're not supposed to go out and find your students. Sometimes, maybe. There might be exemptions to that. But do you want to be feared or loved by those students? That's what it comes down to. You want the respect, you want them to have your back, and go about what you believe is cohesive with existence, that's synchronistic with the symbiotic nature of the internal flow of the universe, that unspoken vibratory frequency people kind of brush upon, but there's really quite the minimalistic amount of science behind that. So, as I promised, I am live. We are 8 minutes deep, and just kind of brushed up on a little bit of that fear and love situation. You can have people fear you, but they'll alienate you and they'll just exclude you and make up their own little thing. So you do need that balance. But maybe it's not fear of you, but fear of what will happen to them if they don't do as you do and speak as you speak. And I think that's what a lot of us are born into. We're born into what already exists, what's already been confirmed by our predecessors. So they said the sky's blue, we say the sky's blue. It would not matter if I was born seeing everything in completely different color schemes. Everybody says it's blue, it must be blue. So I've been trained to always look at that particular hue spectrum and see what we're calling blue. And I'm going to distinguish it from the greens and the reds and the whites. I'm currently looking at a big old giant mural I have up of the coastline overlooking, I believe, the Channel Islands. It's really quite gorgeous. But it's a reminder that existence is subjective. Language is the expression and reduction of that existence. Okay. Follow me on this. We do this deductively over a period of time, and I'm talking the 13 billion years of existence. If the theory of the unified conscious field theory is actually true, because take it into consideration. the unfolding of existence, the physics that does exist, only exist because of that duplication, that replication, the emulation of its predecessor. And I can imagine the initial hydrogen atoms, I believe, is what they suggest that existence started out, that first element on the periodic table, and then that's like the base. That's why it's a carbon-based existence to us. What is the material actual world? But we have a lot of categories for everything, but still no definitive explanation. Where does it even come from? Why do they mimic a mirror, alter and change over periods of time, evolution, into what we are living in right now? Carl Sagan always said, if you wanted to make an apple pie, the first step is to create the universe. It's an interesting concept. That's inherently saying that the universe wanted an apple pie. The possibility of that could happen. So it had to happen. It is happening. There are many apple pies. And so that's the current logic for the most part. I'm sure over the next 50 years it's going to evolve into something else. I always like to come back to Isaac Asimov's The Last Question, and just that 9 pages just totally changes everything. It just changes the way our modern day is accelerating into hyperspace. Moore's law states the reduction of transistor chips is doubled. The amount of information stored is doubled as the chip itself is halved, the size. How far down can we go? How much information can we store before we start just storing it? Well, we on atoms. There is reports currently of Apple, Google. They're all working diligently on storing information on atomic scale. It's quite impressive. And so outside of that atomic scale, there would be, they go down to Planck length and describe the structure of atoms. And when you come to this realization, it's not saying that that's like the perfect form of existence, that toroidal flow, and everything outside of that would be an alteration of that perfect flow state. The perfect flow state is the nothingness. It's empty. It doesn't exist, but it does exist because the reverberation of that nothingness creates what we exist in, which is why we see atoms as mostly empty space. Talk about deep philosophy for 7 o'clock in the morning. Saturday. It's the goat. The goat comes a creeping, and then we get to speaking. That's just what happens, But the reality is, you're the star, and you are the greatest of all time. You're the star. You are the greatest of all time. Do not ever forget that. You are the observer. From the point you stand in the universe, this is your oyster. If you were writing the story to your life, you were the character in a book. Is this your story? What's on the next page? Are you going to turn and find out? Or are you the author and are you writing those pages? Did you already write the book? Have you written several books and now you're deciding which book you're going to live out? It's a good question. Let's hop into rice. Let's talk about rice. I learned a lot about rice when I was about 18, 19. I think most of us do when you're learning to cook and how to be independent and go out into the world on your own. I ended up making rice for the first time, just like a sticky rice in a rice cooker. It came out pretty well. Before the rice cooker, I did try in an actual pot, a saucepan. Rice in a saucepan. It can be done if you've done it several times and you understand the conductivity of the specific pan you're using. And, if you're using electric or gas or whatever you got. But I've found out the hard way several times how to cook rice the right way and the wrong way. And then, who has not learned how to make rice by measuring up to this little line right here on your finger? You pour the water over the rice and right there, perfect. Bring to a boil, put the lid on, bring to a simmer, 20 minutes, bam, rice. Simple enough until I change it up to brown rice. Brown rice goes up to 45 minutes. And, all these things that we experience as humans. And it's much like the controversy over the egg. Eat the egg white, eat the whole egg, only the yolk. I'll go, don't eat eggs. Eggs got flu. It's like, make up your mind. I just want an egg. Same with the rice. Don't eat white rice. It's been bleached. They stripped it of all of the nutrients. And it kind of made it also easier to digest for some people. Did you think about that? I didn't. No, I didn't. What I do complain about all the time is the number of different toilet papers at the store. That I don't understand. I get everybody has different digestive issues, but I'm pretty sure we all got the same exit process. But because of the variety of things you can put at the entrance, the exit sometimes just doesn't work out the same for everyone. So that's also understandable. I get it. Some of y'all need like a quilt down there. You want to take your bedspread to the bathroom. You're like, I need something quilted. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. I'm like, okay, give me that single ply, create your own thickness. It's like 8 sheets stacked on top of each other. That's enough. Most of y'all don't realize that you should just be going into the shower after you're done with that process. Get your baby wipes. It's like dry wipe, baby wipe, shower. Cleanliness, please. Put that above everything else in your life. Red Fox said it. Keep your ass clean. How many of y'all know who Red Fox? Do you ever actually watch a Red Fox stand up? I watched a couple of them. That one that sticks out was his last stand up. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, that was his first, only, and last. Only, first, and last stand up because he was on the show. And, anyways, so I do like to discuss rice a lot. I ended up doing the fried rice. I worked at a restaurant around 20, 21 years old. And I learned how to do fried rice. I learned how to make rice in that rice pot and got really good at it. I can still use my finger. Another method, if you really want to like incorporate some of the elements that you've collected, throughout your days, put your whole hand in there. Yeah. And I was told if the water comes to right here on your knuckles when your hand's flat on top of the rice, in my mind, I'm like, how many people have consumed my dead skin cells and whatever was underneath my fingernails? Those people are going to live forever. I just want everybody to know that. All right. Because whatever antigens this body has, you want it. Huh? Which brings me to rhythm, music, alignment, us humans all here together as one big species, All different, but all the same. What is the unifying aspect that would ultimately just bring us all together? I like to think it's that happiness, the beauty. And simultaneously, I've experienced people that do wake up and they only want to experience ugly. But these states are not indefinite, they're not definitive of you. It is a choice. Um, yeah, I think of all the variables, different scenarios that could have taken place in any individual's life. In my life, I'll reduce it, I'll personalize it. Me, I've experienced times where I've spiraled, I've been at the bottom, I didn't know what I was doing, who to talk to. There's just been so many of those moments where there's no sense of control anymore. And in those final moments of those feeling states, the realization is that control is an illusion. Benny Benassi song always comes back to haunt me. I can just hear it. Control is an illusion. Something like that. I'm not a singer. If you've heard my music, you know I sing to the beat of my own march and stuff. That is the proof in the pudding, by the way. When it comes to cardiac rhythm, the rhythm of my heart, that's what I'm hearing. Even if you're playing a perfectly synchronized beat, I'm still only hearing my heartbeat, and my energy is trying to overpower that. That's something I've been trying to work on for a long time. Someday I'll get it. I don't know. But when it really comes down to the the exchange of communication, not just verbally between all of us. Your They like to say your actions are, the proof of your words. That's confirmation that you are more than just what you say. And that's so true. That is so true. Because you can't just think it. There's the after process of thought that takes place. When you formulate these attachments to outcomes or situations or people, things, those experiences, again, they don't define you, but once you let them define you, your character, who you exist as, that's when the cohesion and that symbiotic synchronicity ceases, because you've closed off every outlet and you've created this box literally to live inside of, and that's fine. If that's what allows for you to feel safe, you have to have that. Is there more to that? Back to what I was opening up about, you can't tell anybody how to do something. They have to do it for themselves. Autonomy, independence. That is what creates the cohesion. That feeling of understanding or knowing that how about validating what you said is true. So I have a lot of examples of this. Someday we'll get into that. If anybody wants to throw anything down in the comments, ask some questions, I'd love to go into further detail. Just based on things I've experienced, come across, I'd be happy to cite any sources. And I do give a gracious shout out to YouTube live streaming services for allowing this to happen. Logitech, my little camera that I purchased, that is providing us with this, and I have advertised this post on Facebook and X. Thank you, social media platforms, for putting this video out there. And retired Colonel, active 7 hours ago. He had a Friday. That's my guess. My guess, everybody had a Friday because, well, nobody's came on to watch this yet. So, I'm going to go live my Saturday. I'm going to go hang out with my dude, Mr. George Estrada, whom of which will also be going on live with me. I'm going to just set up a single camera and it'll be like, just a one-on-one interview. 85-year-old man. He has a lot to discuss with everyone about aging, housing, sustenance, like food, of course. These are very important things, the basic needs. Basic needs. And when those basic needs are met, you do have that sense of security, but also ask yourself, what does it allow your mind to do? When you're in survival mode, do you have any time to question reality? Anything outside of your day-to-day existence? Why do you think that is? I don't mean to antagonize. I don't mean to provoke in such a way that causes disarray or I'm dismissing what reality has come to be. But living in it without questioning it is everybody's biggest fear. Every time I talk about full automation, everybody's biggest fear is, well, who's going to be in charge of the automation? Everybody gets the same resources. Well, who decides? What if they decide that, that race gets more than this race? Really think about the system right now. It is exactly designed to do that. It does exactly that. And it's based on majority vote, who gets what and who doesn't get what. Versus my system where everybody just gets. Jacques Fresco, Elon Musk, other great minds of our lives and all of history. You cringe at words like communism. Why? Do you know why? Because it was a good idea. But the people in power were like, oh no, that's a bad idea. That's totally bad. Let's create studies about mice living in a utopian society that we created with enough food and resources for all of them. Oh, look, all the boy mice are going over there hoarding the resources, and they're not mating with the females. What? And everybody ate that up? We really believe that? We hold that logically true? There's lazy mice, so they don't matter anymore? There's working mice, they're the only ones that matter? We've created a segregated system. Within that system, yeah, there are bodies and entities that will go around and they try to pick up the pieces that are not staying up to date or not catching up, not staying to terms with group normalcy, the majority's normalcy. So when you have 8 billion people and a little under half of those people feel something different, when both groups feel the same way, explain this to me. Somebody get down into the comments and break this down. I'm running into 30 minutes. I'm going to go take care of people. I love everyone. You are all stars. You are all the greatest of all time. Many blessings, opulence, abundance, forever yours, Stephen Gray.